Well, welcome to this edition of the 700 Club. It happened in Washington. Can you believe it? The Nats won the World Series in 7, winning 4 games on the road. The MVP was pitcher Steven Strasburg, who won 2 games. Amazing. They've never had a team in Washington before, and now they won the World Series, and they are rejoicing and are very happy. And I don't know if that has anything to do with politics. It may, if it does.
I think it was a relief.
Yeah, it's probably a relief. Washington did it. Well, a joke of due process and a sham designed to destroy the president. That's what Lindsey Graham called the latest move by House Democrats on the impeachment inquiry. How long can the charade go on? Abigail Robertson has the details from Capitol Hill.
Both House and Senate Republicans claim this move by House Democrats robs President Trump of the basic right of due process, even as they prepare to hold public hearings and release prior witness testimonies. The resolution gives top lawmakers on both sides more time to question witnesses. While it also allows Republicans to request witnesses, the fine print gives Democrats power to veto those requests.
Republicans can't subpoena witnesses unless Schiff agrees, so it is a joke of due process.
Senator Lindsey Graham has introduced his own resolution in the Senate, labeling the whole process as a sham.
They're creating a process that will be damaging to the presidency. Forget about Trump for a moment. If the House in the future can have closed-door hearings where the president's lawyers can't participate, you selectively leak information out to the public to drive the numbers of the president down, you can literally destroy the presidency. The reason they're not doing it like they did before is because they don't have a case. This is all politically driven.
Democrats maintain they're following tradition.
They're going forward with one, which is something the president and others have insisted on. It's going to happen. And secondly, the process is going to be open.
And call on their Republican counterparts to focus concerns on Colonel Vindman's testimony that the transcript of the infamous Ukraine phone call was incomplete.
It certainly concerns me if the White House has released an incomplete transcript.
Graham tells CBN News the changes he suggests don't make a difference to him.
I made my mind up. There's nothing wrong with this phone call, and the changes he suggests make no difference to me.
Congressman Jim Jordan, who's heard each witness testify, stands by the no quid pro quo defense and says he's not concerned with Vindman's testimony.
The fundamental facts have never changed. We can read the call. We know what President Trump and President Zelensky have said and the facts I just went through. So, no, it doesn't trouble me.
Adding his biggest concern is that only one member of Congress knows the whistleblower's identity, House Intelligence Chairman Adam Schiff.
That's what troubles me more than anything else, particularly now that we're just less than 13 months before an election.
Jordan believes House Republicans will be unified in voting against the resolution today. Reporting from Capitol Hill, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
Well, here's my fearless prediction one more time. The House does not have the guts to vote impeachment. They will not vote impeachment. They'll go through all of these sham trials. They'll go to all this witness stuff. They'll release all this stuff. Adam Schiff will selectively pick witnesses who will favor his point of view. He will not allow the Republicans to inquire as they should. But even if they did, it doesn't matter because the Senate will not confirm impeachment. And impeachment by the House is nothing but an exercise in futility. And I say right now, the House Democrats do not have the intestinal fortitude to go to the American people to say, we didn't do health care, we didn't do infrastructure, we didn't do balanced budget, we didn't do all the things we should have done. We wasted time on what was a quixotic venture, and we're tilting at windmills like Don Quixote on his donkey. And
what's it costing us?
It's costing a lot of money, and it's taking the House of Representatives, I mean, the whole Congress down a rabbit hole. And they will not vote it. They just, mark my word, they do not have the courage to go for the American people. This is all a publicity stunt. And when it gets to the Senate, of course, the Senate is not about to 20 more Republicans. It'll take 57 votes, and there's no way they're going to get that kind of vote in the Senate. 2/3 of the sitting senators. It's not going to happen. So in any event, all right. Well, in other news, hurricane-force winds like gasoline pouring on the flames blazing across California. Thousands still fleeing for their lives. What's the new reality firefighters are now facing? Ephraim Graham has more on that from the CBN newsroom. Here's Ephraim.
Pat, California firefighters are in an historic statewide battle. High winds not seen in more than a decade, forcing them to issue a warning on a scale they've never done before. Our Mark Martin reports.
The flames south of Los Angeles are fueled by the strongest winds to hit the area in more than 10 years, prompting the National Weather Service to issue an unprecedented extreme red flag warning. 70-mile-per-hour gusts blew through Simi Valley as what is known as the Easy Fire came within 30 yards of the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library.
You can see the flare-ups up here as well as it's inching closer and closer to the library.
A dozen people sheltered in place inside the library as flames traveled quickly up the hills. President Reagan and his wife Nancy are buried on the grounds. A library employee shared what was spared inside.
Every speech Ronald Reagan ever gave, every handwritten note, every memo, every photograph ever taken of him. There's so many priceless items within our walls. I couldn't even name them all.
Firefighters fought to save the library, which was not damaged, but it was a low-tech measure that played a huge role. USA Today reports that every spring, the Ventura County Fire Department brings hundreds of goats to eat the brush around the library's perimeter, creating a dead zone. The winds are so strong they even blew over big rigs. The conditions make it extremely tough for embattled firefighters who work tirelessly to protect thousands of houses in danger. Some firefighters are working 26-hour shifts and have not been home since the weekend. Homeowners even tried to help using buckets and hoses against the flames. A wildfire in Riverside County forced dozens of people in wheelchairs to evacuate from a nursing home surrounded by thick smoke. And horses threatened by the flames are also taken to safety. On top of this, there are new concerns about other fires burning in California. The largest is the Kincaid Fire in Sonoma County. It has now destroyed more than 76,000 acres and more than 130 homes.
Not knowing if my family's okay and things are going to burn down and being evacuated, not having water, electricity.
It's been rough. You know, I got a 11-month-old baby right now, and it's just really tough out here.
Santa Ana winds are expected to linger for one more day Thursday after driving more than a dozen wildfires. Mark Martin, CBN News.
The Pentagon is releasing new video of that raid that took out ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Here you see ISIS terrorists firing on a U.S. aircraft flying toward the compound. Those copters firing back, obliterating a dozen enemy fighters. And images of the Special Forces assault team approaching the compound. Later, a huge blast as an airstrike destroys the site after Baghdadi was killed. No U.S. forces were lost in the raid. The raid comes amid a supposed ceasefire in northern Syria, but people on the ground say the fighting is still going on as Turkish troops keep advancing. CBN Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell tells us they're bearing down on Christian towns.
These jihadist troops fighting for Turkey just captured the Syrian town of Ras Al-Ain that had a large Christian population. Bassam Ishaq is the U.S. representative of the Syrian Democratic Council that represents a new democratic government in northeast Syria that speaks for all the peoples and minorities in that region. He told CBN's Faith Nation the jihadists stole the Christians' land.
They were told by the pro-Turkey rebels that they have orders not to kill the Christians, but you have no land here anymore. So they're not able to go and collect their harvest. And what this amounts to is really soft ethnic cleansing. Because if you lose your source of income, you lose your land, you leave. And so this is what the pro-Turkey jihadis are doing.
Those same jihadist forces are now on their way to the next town with a large Christian population, Tel Tamer.
We have, similar to ISIS, the same mindset as ISIS, those pro-Turkey jihadis who are coming in now threatening their town. We need the U.S. to step in.
On Tuesday, the U.S. House of Representatives voted overwhelmingly to sanction Turkey and sent the resolution to the Senate. Senator Lindsey Graham told CBN News they need to stop Turkish President Recep Erdogan.
I think these sanctions are necessary to make sure that Turkey does not ethnically cleanse Syria of Kurds. This is their ancestral home. They've been great allies to our brothers and sisters in the Christian faith. They helped us defeat ISIS, and we cannot sit on the sidelines and watch Turkey ethnically cleanse part of Syria from Kurds.
Retired Marine Captain Brandon Wheeler says the threat by these jihadist forces to Syrian Kurds and Christians represents a threat to the U.S.
A threat to freedom anywhere is a threat to freedom everywhere. And if you can't secure freedom here, you will be sure that people who want to kill Americans, who have killed Americans, will come here in order to man, train, equip, and prepare for the next war because they are committed.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Doesn't look much like a ceasefire. Pat?
Well, it's not, and I have mentioned before, Erdogan looked for provocation in order to have a so-called revolution against him. He took that opportunity to kill the leadership of his army, of his military, of his parliament. He has cleansed his own government, and he is a ruthless thug. His goal is to build an Islamic state and then to be the dominant power in that part of the world. And if you look at the Bible, you know, the Gog and Magog and the churches in Asia, it all took place in Turkey. Turkey is a key role, has a key role to play in biblical truth and biblical history. Now, there's something else we need to face. The discussion we had yesterday with Bill Gertz having to do with the rise of China was significant. But that's only one power that is getting ready to come against the United States of America. The Chinese are preparing massive forces, according to Gertz, and he thinks by 2020 they will attempt to take over Taiwan, and then it will be a Chinese hegemony all in the South China Sea and so forth. But a thing that was in the news today, Russia has tested a new nuclear-powered submarine, and we'll have that story in a minute. But also, Kim Jong-un rode off on Mount Pleiku and on a white horse, and that was the symbol that they were getting ready to something, and he's launched some weapons. We're not sure if it's any missiles, but it was some kind of weaponry into the Sea of Japan, and Prime Minister Abe of Japan is saying it's provocative. So you've got North Korea possibly with nuclear weapons. You've got Chinese clearly with nuclear weapons. And now Russia is having a nuclear-powered submarine. Ladies and gentlemen, we need God's power to take care of this nation because we're going to be facing incredible danger in the years ahead. And Ephraim has this story about what the Russians have tested.
Pat, as you said, Russia has tested a new nuclear-powered submarine firing an intercontinental missile that hit a target thousands of miles away. The missile, with a dummy payload, was fired from underneath the White Sea in Russia's north and struck a target in the Far East region of Kamchatka. The test comes amid tensions between the U.S. and Russia over the demise of a decades-old nuclear weapons agreement. Pat?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's what it is, and it's very, you really, this country right now has enemies that want to destroy it because we're an island of Christianity, we're an island of faith, we're an island of freedom, we're an island of democratic processes, and we're also very prosperous. And around the world, there are those who want to close in on us. So if there was ever a time to pray, this is it.